Hey guys, and welcome to this video. So as you guys requested, I recently hauled a bunch of new NYX makeup and I'm gonna apply it and give you guys my first impression. I'm wearing a lot of the products right now. There were some huge hits and some huge misses, so keep watching if you're interested in that. If you are new to my channel, welcome. This is a channel where we talk about all things affordable beauty because I think everyone should be able to feel beautiful and have fun with makeup no matter what their budget is. So don't forget to subscribe while you're here if you are interested. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first impressions. So the first product I'm going to be testing is this new NYX No Filter Blurring Primer. It says, no filter needed with this light as air feel and silky smooth texture. This cream primer creates the perfect canvas for flawless makeup application. Your face will be insta ready before you can say how many likes. So this product is a pricey one. This was actually $15 and you only get 0.84 fluid ounces, which is not a lot, and it feels really light, so this better blow me away. But let's go ahead and try. I'm gonna put it on one half of my face. So it definitely has pigment to it. It comes out sort of looking like a foundation and it has a yellow undertone. It actually looks like it would be a good match for me if it was a foundation. So I'm gonna apply this to one half of my face and then I'll show you guys a close-up if there's any difference. The texture of it is definitely very silky smooth. It kind of feels like a thin consistency, and I do see a little bit of blurring where my pores are the biggest right here in my T-zone. I don't know how well it's going to transfer on camera, but I do see a difference in terms of the blurred effect of my pores. This side they look a little bit more filled in, and on this side they look a little bit more prominent. But let's go ahead and apply the foundation on top of it. And I'm going to do that using this next product. I know this isn't a new product by NYX, but I've never tried it before, and I love my blending sponges, so I really wanted to try it in case any of you guys were curious about it too. So this is kind of an old product that I'm going to be throwing in the mix because it is a first impression for me. This is the NYX Flawless Blending Sponge. So here's a size comparison to the Real Technique sponge. It's about the same size. They both have this flat edge right here, but on this one it takes up almost the whole sponge. It goes right down to here, whereas on this one it's just on the top half. And then you use the other side of this angled part for blending out your concealer and stuff. This is the more pointy side, whereas on this one you use the opposite end. And then this opposite end has more of a rounded surface so you can pounce foundation on, whereas this one doesn't really have that. The opposite end is more for concealer blending. So this is like a cross between the Beauty Blender and the Real Technique sponge. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this wet and use it to apply my foundation. Okay, so it did get quite a bit larger. You can look at it again compared to the Real Technique sponge, but instead of getting longer, like this one gets taller, it just got like wider. The expansion was really in width, not in height. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my Maybelline Matte and Poreless using this sponge because I know I love this foundation. I didn't think I was gonna like it right when I started pouncing because it felt really dense and it didn't feel really soft like I'm used to with the sponges that I really like. But I feel like the benefit of that, at least with this sponge, is that it provided a little bit of a fuller coverage. Usually with sponge application it kind of shears out the foundation, whereas I think the density of this sponge really kept the coverage of the foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it on the other side and I'll be right back. So this sponge definitely applied this foundation differently than like my Real Technique sponge. It kept the coverage a lot fuller than it typically is when I apply that foundation with a sponge. So I think, like I said, the density of this sponge actually helps maintain the coverage of the foundation, but it doesn't feel very soft on the face, which is something I don't like. But I'm gonna go ahead and apply my concealer using this smaller end. And I'm just using the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Light. Okay, I'm not imagining things. The same thing happened with the concealer. This is a lot fuller of a coverage than I typically get with this concealer when I use a sponge. So I would say if you like the idea of sponges but feel like it shears out your foundation or your concealer too much, this is the sponge for you because it definitely kept the coverage of the foundation and the concealer. But if you're someone that likes the really soft sponges like the Beauty Blender or the Real Technique sponge or the L'Oreal sponge, you're not gonna like this. It's a lot more dense. It doesn't feel nearly as soft. So I'm gonna do the next few steps of my makeup off camera and then be right back to test the next product. Okay, I went ahead and applied some bronzer and blush, and now I'm gonna try out this NYX Duo Chromatic Illuminating Powder, and this is in the shade Snow Rose. I'm gonna use this e.l.f. small tapered brush to apply it. There was a lot of fallout in the pan when I just swirled my brush in. Okay, so this looks really pink and it's applying a little bit patchy. Yeah, you guys, I am not impressed by this. It looks pretty patchy and it's too dark for me. It looks just straight pink. It doesn't look like a pink sheen. It just looks like I'm wearing a super shiny blush on the high points of my cheeks. Okay, next up is their new 3-in-1 brow. I went to go buy a new micro brow pencil and I was like, I really should try something else. I need to branch out. And I saw that this was brand new, so I decided to pick it up. It's a really cool concept because it has this like brow gel on one side, and then on the other side, you've got like this powder, and then right here, you've got the brow pencil. So let's go ahead and apply it. I don't know if you guys can see like the patchiness and the chunkiness right here. It's not going on as smoothly as the micro brow pencil does. So let's go ahead and try the powder. I like to use powder kind of in this inner region so that it doesn't look too harsh. Whoa, so much for not looking too harsh. I barely touched it and like that much product came out. So maybe I'll use this on this side. Okay, I need to comb these through because it looks like there's a ton of product. Like it looks like I just Sharpied on my brow. And I'm actually going to use the micro brow pencil spoolie to do that. Okay, we're looking a little bit more normal. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other brow and be right back. Okay, I'm doing my other brow. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's going on like wax, and it's like waxed down my brow hairs right here. It looks really bad. You guys, my brows look like a hot mess right now. I really don't like this. This is way too big of a pencil, and it goes on super waxy and like sticks the brow hair down. Looks really unnatural. And then this powder is really pigmented, which is good. You can just kind of quickly fill in your brows. But between the powder and the super thick pencil, there's no option for precision. Like you can't get into any small places because both the powder applicator and the pencil are super thick. Maybe the side of the product will redeem it. It's got a small little wand and a brow gel in here. So let's go ahead and apply this. It's applying a lot of product. It's so much. Okay, in case it's not very clear, I really don't like this at all. I'm going to return this. I don't recommend it. I feel bad, you guys. I didn't like the highlighter and I didn't like this. I'm really hoping I like the next products. Okay, next up we've got two eyeshadow palettes. We've got the Lid Lingerie and the Cosmic Metals. So I'm excited about these. Just looking at this Lid Lingerie, just look at these colors. They're all matte. This is like heaven for me. They're all like matte mauve-y colors. I'm obsessed. Let's swatch a couple. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, those look pretty. Okay. I'm excited again. Okay, and now we've got the Cosmic Metals. These are all shimmery shades. So it seems like these two palettes would complement each other really well. You could use these as like your transition or base colors, and then you can use this as a pop of sheen on the lid. So let's swatch a few of these. 1, 2, 3. They're definitely very pretty. This one felt kind of grainy, not as creamy as I'd like it to, not as creamy as the other palette. Kind of could feel the glitteriness, but we'll see how it applies to the lid. Okay, from this palette, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this kind of orangey warm shade in my crease. A little bit of fallout in the pan. Whoa, super pigmented. This is such a gorgeous shade. Okay, I'm gonna use just a little bit of this kind of mauve-y shade to deepen up the inner and outer corner. All right, now I'm gonna take this shade right here and put that right in the center of my lid. Okay, so this is applying very glittery. So I'm actually gonna go back in with this light shade right here and give myself something to layer. I'm also gonna take this light shade on my brow bone. It's not very pigmented. Okay, now I'm gonna go over that again with that light shade. And then I'm gonna take a mixture of those two crease shades along my lower lash line. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm definitely a fan of this palette, the lingerie one. This shade right here, this light shade, was not as pigmented as I wanted it to be, but these other shades that I tried are so gorgeous, and I love the color scheme in here and the fact that it's all matte. These were a little bit more chunky and glittery. They were not as smooth as the lingerie shades. The pigment didn't transfer very well. I may try these again and wet my brush, but just on their own, not super impressed by this palette. Loving this one. Okay, I'm gonna apply some liner and lashes and be right back. I just applied liner and lashes, and now the next product I'm gonna be testing is in my waterline. And this is the NYX Faux White Liner in the shade 01 Vanilla. So this is called an inner eye brightener. So it's meant for the waterline to brighten up your eyes. So it looks kind of yellowy in the packaging, but let's go ahead and apply in the waterline. Okay, I got a little bit on my lashes, but that's my own fault. This is super pigmented. Okay, yeah, that's definitely very pigmented, really opened up my eyes. Impressed by this one. Okay, and then last but not least, for the lips, I was going to buy some of the new Lingerie liquid lipsticks because you guys know how much I love those, but since I already know I like that formula, I decided to go ahead and try a new formula, and this is the NYX Epic Ink Lip Dye. This is relatively new, and I've been wanting to test it because I like the idea of just a dye on the lips. So let's go ahead and apply this. It's got a doe foot applicator. Ooh, I didn't know this was gonna be this dark. Okay, excuse how messily I just applied that. This is a little bit hard to work with, and I feel like the idea of dye would work a lot better with a different shade, so that's my own fault. I feel like something that's supposed to be a dye, when it's a really dark color, it just ends up looking patchy. I feel like dark colors really need to be opaque, otherwise it kind of looks like it's already starting to fade off right when you put it on, so I think I just got the wrong shade in this. Okay, so that covers all the products, so I'm going to give you kind of a quick summary, starting with the primer. So I don't think this primer made a huge difference between the different sides of my face, both in terms of appearance and in terms of how well the foundation applied on top of it. It did slightly blur my pores, but I think a better blurring primer is this NYX pore filler one, so I would recommend this one over this one, especially if you have oily skin. This is a great primer, and I just wasn't blown away by this. So next up, the sponge. Like I said, this isn't super soft, but it did apply my foundation and concealer a lot more full coverage than sponges typically do. I like the shape. I like that it has like the pouncy side, the rounded side, and the indented side to get into the hard to reach places. So this isn't a typical sponge. This is more for those of you that like a fuller coverage, not for those of you that like a super soft bouncy sponge. Next up is this Duo Chromatic Illuminating Powder, this highlight. I was not a fan of this. I felt like it was too dark, especially for how light it looks in the pan. If you're looking for like a chromatic highlight, the new Wet n Wild ones in the spring collection, I reviewed those. I can link that video down below. Those are a lot better than this. This applied patchy, there was fallout, and I wasn't crazy about the color. So if you're looking for, like I said, a duochrome highlight, go with the Wet n Wild spring collection. Okay, I don't think I need to talk too much about this one. You guys know how I feel about this 3-in-1 brow product. The pencil was way too thick. The powder applied really strongly, and this like brow mascara applied way too much product all at once. It made my eyebrows look like wet. So I will definitely be returning this, and I don't recommend it. Next up are these eyeshadow palettes. I feel like the Cosmic Metal one applied more like a glitter than a shimmer. I think there are better all shimmer palettes like the e.l.f. Prism palettes or the Essence eyeshadow palettes, and I wasn't super impressed by this one. This one, on the other hand, even though this light shade was a little bit less pigmented than I wanted it to be, these shades are a dream, and I am kind of obsessed with this palette. I love the different tones in here, that there's warm tones, cool tones. There's so many looks that you could do with this palette. I am super excited about this. And then for the pencil in my waterline, this was super pigmented, really opened up my eyes, as you guys can probably still see. And just on the first swipe of this, it was completely opaque. I wish it had like the little twist up thing like the Essence does. I'll have to sharpen this one, which I am not good at, but I'm gonna try that Wet n Wild sharpener like one of you guys mentioned. But yeah, the pigmentation of this was amazing. And then the last product is this Epic Ink. I feel like I got the wrong shade in this because a dark shade, like I said, needs to be opaque, otherwise it just looks patchy and like you didn't apply your lipstick right. So I like the idea of this. Maybe I'll get like a pink or a red and see how that looks, but at least in the dark shade, I'm not crazy about it. So that is gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments which product was your favorite, or if there's any other NYX products you want me to try. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.